O'Reilly! You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge, just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is a podcast from Minute Media.
Hashtag no music, no intro. Another episode of hashtag Saints OTA podcast coming at you. We have some Saints things to talk about. There's OTAs. The whole premise of this episode, we'll be talking about Ryan and I are going to be grading the Saints offseason in terms of a ton of moves that happened this offseason. And we're gonna grade them each individually and then come up with a total overall grade for the Saints offseason. But this is our podcast, and the great thing about having a podcast and not having anyone to answer to at all is that we can talk about anything we want on our podcast. And so I'd be remiss if we didn't just talk about the state of affairs kind of going on in this world right now. I wanted to bring up the whole Buffalo shooting last week, but we had Mike Neighbors on, and it really wasn't a time to kind of talk about it. But just where things are, and just in this country, we had the shooting in Buffalo. Someone goes into a supermarket, primarily was identifying and shooting and killing African American people, Black people, because of their skin color. Yesterday, Robb Elementary, a school in West Texas. I'm from West Texas. I don't even know what the number is right now. 18, 19 dead in a school shooting. There was a church shooting out here in Orange County in Laguna Woods last week, 2 weeks ago. It all fucking blends in together. And I know I sound down and kind of a bummer, but this shit just fucking sucks. It sucks. It pisses me off, and I feel at this point, I'm out of emotions to really express. I'm out of emotions to really express everything that's been going on. But I did want to briefly talk about it at the beginning of this episode, because it's shit's out of control. And the sad part about it, and I think your tweet you sent out was perfectly said. That tweet, in terms of how all this is going to play out in terms of gun control, blah, 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 it reminded me of your Saints tweet when they're the 7 and 9 years of how I don't mean to make fun of it, but the accuracy was that spot on. And we're already, I've been trying to avoid Twitter. I check into our little Discord, especially with everything that's going on. I can't handle just the flooding of more and more information. I just can't do it. It could be because my job, my career in itself can be pretty fucking sad and emotionally draining. And then I'm on social media, I'm just I can't. But you're an excellent person in terms of having a political mind. I even asked you just in terms of what can be really fucking done about this insane problem that we have in this country with gun control and violence. And it's exhausting, man. It really, really is.
No, it is, man. It just wears me out. It makes me tired.
Tired, man.
You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. And this, this one with kids again, in Sandy Hook, it's at some point, this is where I'm at with it, man. Because I wouldn't call myself a gun nut. I don't own any right now. I used to, but I'm a gun dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about, people being able to get their guns and shit like that. But at some point, we got to drill down and figure out, because there's a problem, bro. Sometimes there's a problem that rears its head, and it just got to be addressed. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't know that. I hear everybody Maybe the answer is, strict gun control laws or something like that. In America, I just don't see it. It's not feasible. It's just not going to happen. This is
Too much money.
country. Too much money. It's a country built on violence. It's a country built on being able to protect yourself. And, you can talk about the Second Amendment or whatever, but like this shit is just ingrained into America. It's cultural. It's a culture thing. Like if you go to France, you know what I'm saying? You go to Japan and you talk about owning guns, they just look at you crazy. Like, what the hell? Like, why would I own a gun? Like they just don't understand the concept. When America is just different culturally. And that culture ain't changing. Like that's just a part of American culture, bro. Like, so that's not changing. And culture is, downstream is always, politics is always downstream from culture. So if it ain't gonna change in the culture, politics ain't gonna change it. But that said, we really do need to figure out what's wrong. Like what possesses an individual, an 18-year-old that hasn't even lived life, to walk into a supermarket and decide I'm just going to shoot black people, or possess an 18-year-old to walk into elementary school and just say I'm going to kill every kid I can until my bullets run out. And probably like what happens up there? I want to know. Like what was the function?
It's insane because like you and I texted about it a little bit. I know Rob, like on Twitter, I think last week was kind of trying to make a joke out of a joke about this, which is like, you're fucking 18. Like, what?
Yeah.
Go fucking try to get some ass. Like, holla at a girl. Like, what? Like,
oh
what?
Boy, oh whatever.
I don't care. Like, it's just heavy, man. It's real heavy. And I think for me, the time I realized of how fucked we were was when that mass shooting happened in Vegas, right?
Oh yeah.
Which was like 3 years ago. It was
nuts. So. And that shit was nuts. Like people don't do people remember how crazy that was? That was crazy.
That shit happened in Vegas. And a month and a half later, it was like it never even existed. And I remember me and you would text each other like, yo, like, remember that shit in Vegas? Like it just disappeared. Right? Bro. And like, to me, I think, and maybe other people realize it before, like, I think I realized of how quickly like the news cycle and shit like quickly turned for the Vegas shooting.
Bro, next week is gonna be something else, bro. I swear.
Isn't it? It's
gonna be Ukraine or abortion or whatever. Something. And Rob elementary school is just going to be a footnote at the bottom of a newspaper somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the way it is.
It's the sad truth, though. It's 100% the sad truth. And I know people listen to podcasts and do whatever to have an outlet as an escapism, but like I don't care about
that shit. That's crazy.
You can't escape this. I'll say this, speaking of podcasts, and I tweeted it yesterday. The absolute best podcast series I've ever listened to, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts, what is the Confronting Columbine series. Amy Over was a senior at Columbine, and she does this 8-part podcast series where she's confronting, and you get to hear, because I think for obviously for us who hasn't been through anything like that, you get to hear all the shit that like a school shooting survivor has had to live through their entire lives. Like, she talked on one episode, she has a daughter. She's talking about the first day her and her husband took their daughter to preschool. She had like a panic attack, right? Because she's dropping her kid off to school. And all she remembers was what happened when she was a senior in high school, of her running for her life in Columbine, April 20th. So I'm not saying that, obviously don't listen to it right now, because but in terms of just getting the ideal of just, because if you would have just said this when Columbine happened April 20th, 20 plus years ago, like for this to have just be the norm, like it would be insane. It would be utterly insane.
Insane, bro. Like that was the biggest thing ever when that happened. I remember.
Yeah, it was huge. And then now we have someone going into a fucking grocery store on Twitch singling out black people, bro. Like what? Okay, we'll move on.
First person shooting, bro. Like this.
I can't, man. We'll move on. I don't want to do the whole thoughts and prayers thing because it doesn't do shit. Like what is a guy in California giving thoughts and prayers going to provide comfort to a parent that's lost their kid in a fucking senseless shooting?
The parents ain't listening. They ain't listening right now.
Like it does fucking nothing. Anyway, I'm gonna change gears and just quickly try to lighten the mood because this is something that I want to lighten the mood after being very heavy, and then we'll get into Saints talk. But I was texting Ryan this as it was happening yesterday, and I'm going to put on the podcast just because it was hilarious. I want to lighten the mood, make sure us get laughing. We can talk some Saints before we get out of here. But I was doing this weight class online yesterday. I need to start losing some weight. So got referred over. You have to do like this hour and a half, like virtual meeting and talking. They give you like options of like, how you can lose weight and then you pick one, whatever. Right. And then this woman on the call starts talking. She says, I'm just 20 pounds overweight, but like those 20 pounds, like I just can't seem to drop them. And I've just done everything. And I just feel like I'm not being heard just because like I may not be having like the same issues that other people are having in terms of weight. Like, this is just really hard for me. And I eat organic and I do like all these juices. And when I tell you that was some of the most annoyed, funny shit, I'm like, bitch, do you know the audience that you're talking to right now? Like we are fat. like we would love to be complaining about 20 pounds.
Obese, bitch. Like what?
Like our BMI's got double digits. The best part
we told it Dr. Now, like Dr. Now, you're weighing too much right now.
The best part is she said that she had got referred to Weight Watchers a couple of months ago, and she went to Weight Watchers and she told her story, and everybody in Weight Watchers was rolling their eyes at her, and I was highly brought.
I agree. Like they was right on, man.
Get your skinny ass up this fucking. Weight Watchers. Sorry. Every time I just think about her talking, it's like she couldn't read a room, bro. Like have you ever seen like one episode of like This Is Us? Like, or you seen like a commercial for it?
I have not seen a second of it.
Have you seen a commercial for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so like the big sibling, like there's like a big like a girl, like she's big though, like big, right? Imagine being 20 pounds overweight. And like she's in a meeting like this, like she's like triple digits probably overweight, and you're saying, well, no one just understands my struggle. You get fucking jumped, bro.
Jump, man. Like you need to find another meeting, man.
Anyway, it happened to me yesterday. I've been laughing about it ever since. But let's talk about the Saints. I want to start with OTAs, right? Let's start there. We got some pictures of OTAs. A big thing that you pointed out today. I don't know I think it was in our Discord, was like the fact that Jameis is throwing in OTAs is like that's a big sign. It's a big sign. It is. He's looking trim. You would think that, potentially they would take it slow with him. Maybe he doesn't throw until training camp, but he's already throwing, not practicing, but throwing, which is a huge sign. And then probably like the biggest news that came out today is everyone, doing Mike Thomas, like he's still not running.
Yeah.
I know he had Underhill reporting he had the out the facility. At this point, bro, like, can I just see Mike Thomas in a Saints jersey? Like,
bro, like I think everybody knows he's not gonna be out there just running Chris routes.
Right.
But it would have been nice to just see him jogging on the sideline or something, like just getting in a little, the wide receiver stance, just like, damn, man, like I haven't seen him, bro. I have not seen him. Seen that one little clip of him running in Timberlands. And that was it. That was it.
And I saw like the reaction on Twitter a little bit. And listen, I think the plan is I'm not overreacting to it, right?
No,
I get the concern and the annoyance because like it's going on 2 years, bro. Like it's been a long time since we've seen Mike Thomas in a Saints jersey. And so I don't think this is alarm bells or anything like that. But like I understood where the annoyance or the little concern that came from. It's like, damn, like, is he ever gonna come back?
Yeah.
Because he's a huge piece to the puzzle, right? For this team to reach their full potential, he got to be back at least anywhere from like a 70-80% of what he was. Like, I'm not expecting old Michael Thomas to come back. I'm just not. I'm realistic. Right?
No, but he is a huge piece. Like, I was just going on, I was on YouTube just looking at seeing what just the random talking heads were saying, Ryan Clark and NFL Network and, just what the talking heads were talking about the Saints. And all of them like, they're going to have Mike Thomas back. And, they're talking about the wide receiver core and all that stuff. I'm like, man, like Mike, the Mike Thomas back is carrying a lot of weight right now. Like
a lot of it, bro.
And look, I think he's going to be back, but it's just, you just don't know, man. You don't know. You don't know. So it's good to be, okay, it's fine to be positive and optimistic that he's going to be fine and everything looks like it's going that way. And the fact that he's like back bought in and at the facility and getting himself, back is great. But I'm just like, man, what kind of ankle injury was this? Like Jameis Winston tore his ACL like 6 months ago, man, 6-7 months ago, and he out there throwing. And Mike Thomas tore his ankle up 2 years.
Yeah.
Bro, so long ago. I was in a different house back then. Like I remember I was at IP Biloxi, the resort, watching the game on the big screen TV. I was in the pool watching the Tampa Bay Saints game. Like Drew Brees was still playing. Like no,
like I was still living by myself. Now me and my girlfriend live together, bro. Like what?
Completely different. COVID didn't exist. COVID-19.
Bro, how wild is that?
The COVID-19 was not a thing. Like that's the last time I saw him. I know he came back at some point that season, but he was barely there, So it's like, man, we just want to see Mike, man. Like it just alleviate a lot of concerns. But it's just one of the things we just got to be patient and wait on, and just Saints fans need to know. Don't expect him to be putting up 120 yards week one. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna take a little time.
No, don't expect that at all. But I do think, and this is, credit to Brian, because Brian has pointed this out too. A good thing about the Jarvis Landry signing is if he's a part of the trio, that's great. But he also presents as good Michael Thomas insurance, right? Obviously not as good as Mike was in his prime, but can do a lot of
the slant boy.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes. I couldn't help but laugh. I saw quite a few pictures of your favorite Saints player, Tony Jones Jr.
I was so pissed, bro. I got mad, physically mad seeing that, bro. Like, man, damn it.
Had no idea. I guess maybe he signed on like a futures deal. Had no idea Kevin White was still associated with the team whatsoever.
He's still there, bro.
I was like, oh, okay. Well, so hopefully that's not the case.
That don't last, yeah.
But we wanted to do an exercise, and here's the thing that sucks about the offseason, right? It is just without fail, and I've gone over the numbers. Our numbers are just going to dip down in the next couple of months. It's just, there's going to be a dead period. They'll pick back up around training camp. They'll pick up for sure for preseason, but like there's going to be a lull. So I'm sad that a lot of people won't be able to hear this episode because I think it's going to be a really good episode, and that's going through the off season and giving them a grade. But on the other hand, like that's on y'all. I will say, so before we get into the off-season grades in terms of the moves, Ryan and I are going to try something a little different in terms of our Patreon. So we've kind of plateaued in getting in terms of the goal of getting to 200 Patreons before the regular season. I know it's early, but we are 72 Patreons away from getting that goal. However, we are planning to start introducing different levels of Patreon for our members. So I've ordered the first Saints Twitter coffee mug. It should be arriving next Friday. If the quality of it is good, and I think it's good quality, what we're going to start doing is that if someone's donating at a $10 level to our Patreon, then you're going to get obviously access to the Discord, access to the VIP meet and greet and everything in New Orleans before the Raiders game, but you also get the Saints Twitter #Saints Twitter podcast coffee mug. If you're donating at a $20 level, then you're going to receive the tumbler. So we're just kind of introducing levels for our Patreons. We're not saying that you have to do these levels. You can do anything is helpful, especially as we try to grow it. Also, this upcoming weekend, a goal of mine is to, if not this weekend, then in a couple of weeks, a goal of mine is to purchase 2 tickets to the Seattle game that the Saints play against the Seahawks in New Orleans and raffle those off for our Patreons only. So like I said a couple of weeks ago, very, very serious about being a Patreon a rewarding experience, for us to show our support to everyone that does support us.
Hell yeah, man, they deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, so I got 15 different items that in terms of grading for the offseason. So obviously the number one place to start is Sean Payton stepping down, which was a big thing. And a lot of people didn't believe it was going to happen. People, Saints fans were like saying there's a no story, blah, blah. It happened. We're living in a different world now as a Saints fan. What was your grade? So this is clear. We're doing classroom grades. Anywhere from A plus to F.
I did numbers, but we could try.
Okay. So you did like a GPA?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did letter grade. So what was your grade for Peyton stepping down?
I don't have a grade for that. I have a grade for hiring DA, but obviously the grade for Sean Payton stepping down is a F.
Yep. Sure is.
It's like that's a 60 at least,
Yes. I gave it an F too. And I know that I think there's been a slight too much of an overcorrection in terms of Saints fans, in terms of like the praise DA is getting for like Jarvis Landry and Tyron. So how do I word this? I don't know if Peyton was still the head coach, if they would have been as offensive heavy as they've been recently, which I think is obviously was much needed. But I don't think it may have been as bad as Saints fans thought it would have been.
Right. Sean Payton would not have gone into this offseason or into the season with the same wide receiver group. Like it's just, that wide receiver was terrible. Like he knew it was terrible.
Sure.
Now would he have traded up for Chris Olave and all that? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's a different story. But to your point, I agree. So we both give that just a big F. What I'm interested to hear what you gave Dennis Allen being hired as head coach as a grade.
I gave that a 75, which is like a B minus.
Is that a B minus?
A B minus or a C plus?
It's a C. I think that's more of a C plus.
Yeah, like a C plus. So it's like, it's straight down the middle. It's like we expected it to happen. No, it's not trying to really push the franchise into the future or like make a drastic change, but it's saying, hey, we like the culture here. Let's try to keep it stable. Stability is the key. You know what I'm saying? So I give it a C. It's a C. It's like, we'll see.
So just so everyone knows, we did not discuss grades with each other before recording this podcast or anything like that. We did it independently. I gave DA the same, the higher the Dennis Allen, the same grade. Gave it a C plus. C plus. I think you worded it perfectly. And we'll see, right? Like, obviously it's one season, but that C plus in retrospect could turn up being an F or could be higher, right? We don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, because he's been a good defensive coordinator.
Yes.
But he was a bad head coach. And look, you could make a lot of excuses for him as far as being the head coach of the Raiders. His first year, they were like $70 million in dead money. He basically, like, his first 2 years was just, you can't even call it rebuilding. It was like first, like, digging it's like a house burned down or something. And you got to tear down the burned house and then resurface the foundation. And it was just, he had to do a lot. And, he had Reggie McKenzie, who's fired now. He's like, they had a new owner, Mark Davis, who, had never been an owner before. Yeah, so it was a lot. Like, you can come up with a lot of excuses to why he failed as a head coach. But I just remember thinking when he was a head coach, like, man, like, show me something. Like, I don't remember, like, as a head coach, even if you don't do bad, like, show something. Like, who was the guy, I can't remember his name, who was coaching the Texans last year that got fired, like, what, the 1 year?
David Culley?
Culley, yeah. Like, I can't really say much about him, but, like, you could say, like, damn, the Texans was fighting hard. Like, They didn't win a lot of games, but it's like, man, any game the Texans played, bro, it's like, Vegas probably didn't cover it because they came in them games and just fought hard, bro.
And they were in a lot of games that they obviously should not have even remotely been in.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things like, man, you just want to see what is DA as a head coach. And we don't know,
We don't. It's a complete, it's a huge mystery. I mean, yeah, we're going to find out. But until then, I think C plus is a good grade for him being hired. So I didn't include this, but I guess we'll just stick with the additions of Cody Burns as a new wide receiver coach and bringing back Doug Marrone as an offensive line coach.
Yeah, I had the Cody Burns as an 80. It's like a B.
Okay.
It's a good hire. Like, I can't say it's a great hire. I don't know. But, I just like the fact that just bring in young coaches that's ambitious and trying to show the world what they can do and in a position of need. You know what I'm saying? So, I like it.
So I gave the Burns hire, I gave it a C, and I think I gave it a C a lot because in hiring Cody Burns, they let go of Curtis Johnson, right? And it could be a situation like maybe they just needed, sometimes you just need a new voice in the room, whatever it may be. But also on the flip side, Curtis Johnson didn't have much fucking anything to work with last year, man. Let's just be real. Like, I don't know what the wide receivers would look like Chris Olave and Jarvis Landry, et cetera, getting coached up by Curtis Johnson as opposed to Cody Burns. But, like, they've set the wide receiver room up very nicely for Cody Burns, like, extremely nicely.
Yep, absolutely.
So I gave the hiring of Doug Marrone, or him being back as O-line coach, I gave that a B.
Yeah.
To me, that's a good hire because so much of the success on this team hinges on the offensive line. A lot of it hinges on the health of the offensive line, but the two big things that Doug Marrone has in front of him, he has to develop Trevor Penning. Like, that's his number one biggest priority, is developing Trevor Penning. And then two, he has to see if he can salvage Cesar Ruiz's career, right? And if Doug Marrone goes to training camp, man, and he's looking and he goes to DA and says, I can't do shit with this guy, bro. Like I tried, man. I can't do it. Like we talked about, like, this coaching staff, or this, like, these guys in the front office and the coaching level aren't really tied to Cesar Ruiz, right?
No.
Like, that was a Sean Payton pick, and obviously everyone in the front office signed off on it, for him to be the draft pick. But that was a Sean Payton pick. So I'm fascinated to see if Doug Marrone can get something out of fucking Ruiz. I'm not going to be hopeful of it or expect it. But if he could just make him average, I don't even need a good right guard. Just be Senio Calamente most of the season, that's a huge hire.
Huge, man. You know, there's a lot to say about a former head coach. He head coached in college. He was a head coach, you know, for the Bills and the Jaguars. You know, he was with the Saints under Sean Payton. So there's something to that, man. Like, there's a lot to that, you know, especially for a DA to lean on that just knows the ropes. So it's just going to be huge as far as just game planning, prepping for the week. It's a good hire, man. Like I always say, like, some of these young coaches that get hired, they don't really get the support in the building like they should. But I think, you know, the way they approached it, you know, I think they got like a good team around DA.
Oh, I agree with that tremendously. I think there's a very good team around DA that he can lean on for help. Let's go to the other side of the ball. Well, not the other side of the ball. Let's stay with the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about Pete, bro. Let's talk about Pete Carmichael, offensive coordinator, being brought back. What did you give that?
I gave that a C because it's C from Carmichael. I don't know. It's like it's just, you know, a lot of us wanted them to kind of just get somebody exciting and that's going to come in and be innovative. They decided to go with stability again. But there's just like he's such a huge question going into this offseason, man. And you know, if you haven't listened to Mike Neighbors' last episode, listen to that. He talked about it. It's like Sean Payton was such a presence. He was such a game planner week to week, understanding how to attack defenses and stuff like that. We just don't know if Pete got that in him, he coached, the 2012 season and, he coached when Sean Payton got hurt. But we don't really know when it's really all on him because Dennis Allen leaning on him to cook on offense.
Yep.
Like Dennis Allen ain't walking in there and telling him, oh, we need to do this, and this against this defense. No, Dennis Allen not doing that. Dennis Allen walking there like, what's your plan, Pete? Like, how we gonna beat him? You know what I'm saying? And Pete gotta have an answer.
Figure it out.
It's just like one of those things where we don't know. And can Pete handle Jameis? A big personality like Jameis Winston. Sean Payton had the fear of God in Jameis Winston last year. You know what I'm saying? Where he was throwing 130 yards a game or whatever. Does Pete have that? Can he put that fear into Jameis Winston? And I'm not saying we want that fear into him.
Right,
He's going to have to manage Jameis Winston and find that balance to where you do want a little of that old Jameis Winston that's going to sling it, but not too much of it. So it's like, can Pete do that? Can he handle his job? That's the ultimate question. And he didn't even want the job. So it's like, what's going on here, bro? Like, it's just a big question, man. I don't know.
That's why you said it, like he didn't want the job, and I gave it a D. And it's not so much a D just in regards to like it's a D because everything you said is completely exactly how I feel. It's unknown. Like we don't know how Pete is when Pete's by himself as an offensive coordinator and a game planner. And then two, like the big thing for me is like you said, like he didn't want the job. Like that's a big thing. And who knows? By the end of the season, we may be like, remember when Pete didn't want the offensive coordinator job and he cooked all season or whatever. It could be something we could joke about. But it could also not go well at all offensively or go very poorly offensively. And that's a thing. Like, so I gave it a D because it just there's so much.
Would it really shock you if Doug Marrone calling plays by week 10? You know what I'm saying?
Not even a little bit.
Like, would it really blow you away?
No. Shit, they may let Cody Burns call some plays here and there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying, man. It's like, who knows, man? And, Pete doesn't strike me as this guy that's just, like, super ambitious. Like, he just wants to, he got to stay, he want to show it, he doesn't strike me as that guy.
He just want to clock in, clock out, bro.
Clock in, bro. Get them 8 hours, man. Get that paycheck.
Shit, this man wanted to go on FMLA before the offseason. They did not disband his FMLA. He just wanted to chill for a little bit, bro. It's an underrated storyline. I think it's one of the bigger storylines this entire going into the season. So now we're gonna talk about some diving into free agency. Let's start with the big one that left in free agency. Marcus Williams goes to the Ravens. They aren't able to make a big deal to retain Marcus Williams. I gave it an F. I gave it an F because, we'll talk about the other moves that the Saints made after that. But for him, for his age, he was a young player. He was drafted. He was groomed. He is a very unique safety in terms of his range and him being able to play single high safety. Like, you could count on one hand the type of safeties in the NFL that can do what Marcus Williams does.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of players like him. And for him to leave without any type of compensation, like, shit. And I know it's the Saints, and I know I didn't put on the list of them clearing $70 million in cap space. Like, that's an A+, but like, put a transition tag on them, right? Like see what a team may have offered. Like, I know they weren't going to franchise tag him again, but they were just like, no, we're good. And it just, he's going to be great in Baltimore, man. He's going to be great in Baltimore. And I just hated it. To me, it was just a big F.
Yeah, no, it's F. It's a F. I put an F. It's just no question about it, man, because it's a loss. And, they brought players in the field, but that's the thing. They had to bring in players, plural, to replace him, and even that doesn't replace him. It just, gives them other options. So I just, there was nothing. I just think they could have figured it out. Because the money he got in Baltimore was not like some outstanding $20 million a year, something like that. It was probably $2 or $3 million a year more than what they were offering. So I just feel like it was one of the things they could have figured out.
Yep.
Went through all that.
Yep.
You franchise tagged him last year. You did all that. You lost Trey Henderson. It's like, man, I just really thought they would have figured something out with him. We expected Teron, which show's coming up, but that there, I just didn't like, man. I didn't like it. And it doesn't mean it won't work out. It doesn't mean the defense could be much better this year. But that just, still, I didn't like that move. I
didn't either. I mean, I gotten over it. it just wasn't a good move, and it just wasn't. Let's talk about the replacement that the Saints signed and signing Marcus May, free agent from the Jets. You know, he had torn Achilles last season, about mid-season. The last year before the year that just passed, before last season, he was playing very well, was an ascending player, was playing pretty well this season that just ended before he tore his Achilles. So he has the torn Achilles. He has I believe it's the DUI as well. So we don't know what type of discipline or whatever may be coming down on him. We don't even know, is he going to be healthy to start the season? Even if he isn't suspended. But I gave it a B-. To me, it's one of those signings that it's not going to replace Marcus Williams, but it was a very Saints signing. And I predicted it couple for free agency. Let's get a similar player who's ascending, but we could get him cheaper because of this injury. Like I don't know. I know this team. I gave it a B- because if I'm looking in the future, assuming that he's healthy, assuming that, the suspension and he's healthy and he can play, Marcus May was showing to be a good player on a very bad Jets defense. And I think that that context can't be overlooked. Like he's coming to a Saints team defensively that is stacked more than one of the more stacked defenses in the league. So he's going to be surrounded by other good to great defensive players. I think we might see even a better version of Marcus May than you saw because to show up on a bad defense, like you gotta be good. You gotta be good to show up on a bad defense. So
it's somewhat the reverse version of when Malcolm Jenkins left the Saints to go to Philly.
Yes,
it's the reverse version of that where Malcolm Jenkins got his chance to shine once he went to Philly. Well, I think it's gonna be the same thing for Marcus May coming to us because we got a better defense now.
Way better defense. So it's a signing that I'm optimistic about. I am, because I do think it can end up being a good signing.
And that is the Jets. The Jets been giving us good defensive players a long time, bro.
John Vilma, Demario Davis. Now we got Marcus May. Like they should
give it, bro.
The pipeline, bro. Did you? So I don't know. I said B-. I don't know what grade did you give?
I had an 8.5. I guess it's like a B.
B+, almost a B+. Close.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in this close to the same range. Teron Armstead leaving, going to Miami. I just felt I think we both felt the writing on the wall was coming. What grade? Yeah, man, I gave it a B. It was a move that I think the Saints did the right thing in letting Armstead walk and go to Miami, because like who knows, right? Knowing, and we joked about this before, he's gonna go to Miami, he's gonna play 2-3 more years, be a first team All-Pro, be healthy.
Won't miss a game, bro.
Won't miss a game, bro. Won't miss a single game.
The Iron Man Award.
But the flip side to that is, Miami's paying him his last big payday in the NFL. And if he's as injured as he was, like, I think financially the Saints not investing in Armstead, even though, he's been a pillar for the team, for the locker room.
They paid him a lot of money.
They had. I think it was a smart financial thing for them to do, to say, God bless, be with you, get your money, but we gotta walk. We gotta cut it off.
Like I see the talking heads, they're talking like, oh man, like Ross Tucker's like, oh man, no Teron Armstead. I'm like, did you watch a Saints game? Like, bro, like he hasn't played. Like, like you are lucky if Teron Armstead plays a game. So like, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm not saying he's not a good player. Like when he does play, he's great. And last year when he did play, it was kind of up and down. That was kind of the first time I started seeing like, ooh, like some chinks in the armor. But yeah, like the Saints have that's that's why players hate to get injured and give another body a chance to get on the field, because the team gets used to playing without you.
Mm-hmm.
They could see reality. They're like, man, I could pay this guy $3 million a year, and no, he's not better than the other guy, but $2 million a year versus 13 a year, and it's
we
not
can get
that bad. It's not like
we can get by.
Yeah, we can get by. It's like okay. That's why players hate letting them play on the field. They hate it. So I completely understood it. Like, I had no reaction with Ryan Love.
None. I mean, I was happy that he got paid.
Yeah,
Can I say this thing? And I don't know if Mike Triplett probably doesn't listen to our podcast, although he's been on it. I know he's a fan of the show. Mike Triplett's been doing this thing that just annoys me, and he does it probably more than anyone. But like, when a former Saints player goes somewhere, like gets traded or free agency signs, like he's like retweeting them with the new team. Why do you do that, Mike Trips? Can we stop that? He did it so much during the Jimmy Graham trade. After the Jimmy Graham trade, I said, Mike, why are you retweeting these articles about how Jimmy Graham's doing in training camp?
Mike's something, man, because he put on his whole positive. Hey, I'm just a nice guy, just looking on the positive side, but he's slick, bro. Like, he got that evil eye in him. Like, I'm a stick.
He does, bro. So like, when those pictures came, like Teron Armstead had showed up at like I think it was the child abuser press conference, or they did the press conference together or something like that. And he had like a throwback Dan Marino jersey and took a picture in it. And Mike Triplett's retweeting it. I'm like, why? Stop, Mike. He's not a Saint. Stop it. Stop. Just a bullshit, bro. I gave it a C-, although I don't think the Saints really care about this. Did you give them a grade for losing out on comp picks at all?
I did. I gave it an F.
Oh, you gave it okay.
I didn't put much thought into it. It's like, losing comp picks, F.
It's bad. It's bad business, especially for the Saints, considering that they are already limited in draft picks in the future. And we've said it on this podcast. Like, these dudes I just know that they feel like that Peyton trade chip is going to just come back and like on a lottery ticket, like, oh, we're going to get 2 first-round picks for Sean. When we trade Sean, we're going to get 3 first-round.
They living just like me. Like, that's like, I got that check coming in a couple of months, man.
Count them eggs before they hatch, bro. Like,
I'm going to put that new stimulus out. That new stimulus coming.
It's just sometimes you end up, not getting what you think. That's all I'm going to say. I gave it a C-. Let's talk about getting the red rifle in the book.
I gave that a 90, boy. It's an 8.
What? You gave Andy Dalton a 90?
90, boy. Man, Andy Dalton is a backup quarterback, man. That's a great move.
It is.
Great move, man.
It is. You're right. It really is.
He's a Pro Bowl-ish player, He's won a lot of games. He's not a great quarterback, but he's a 20-ish, 25th-ish quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get that as a backup is a good deal, man.
It is. One, considering Jameis is coming off injury. 2, if you feel like you're close to like a contending team or at least a team in the playoffs, like, you don't want. I mean, it's the NFC, but like one loss against the NFC opponent, we saw it last year, right? That was the Giants game. That's why the Saints didn't make the playoffs. If we're being honest. So then you don't have to rely on Ian Book, like before they signed and they brought Andy Dalton. Like, then you're not hoping like, okay, if James gets hurt or something happens, okay, yeah, Ian, we got to go next weekend with Ian Book, and like that That is a bad. They showed you, and I said it, and people got after me because I tweeted it. But like the Saints showed you what they thought of Ian Book by signing Andy Dalton. I'm sorry, that's just it's just reality. Teams show you if the Saints felt. When I say the Saints, this is like the Dennis Allen Saints, but the Saints felt that Ian Book could be a number 2 quarterback and that he could win a game or two if something were to happen to Jameis, if he went down or whatever, then Andy Dalton would have been brought in. Like that's simple.
Period.
That is simple. This has nothing to do about he's just developing. He was a 4th round pick. Like if you're a 4th round pick as a quarterback, like if you can't be the number 2 going into year 2 and they're bringing someone else in, that shows more about you than it does of anything else.
I started like 800 games in college. Just saying, man.
This man say 800 games. Who do you think he is? Kenny Pickett?
But you got Andy Dalton, man. Like that's just good business, bro. Like nobody freaking out if Andy Dalton got to start a game or come in for 2 quarters or whatever. Like,
no, and I would love, and I don't want anything to happen, Jameis, wishing him full season of health, bro. But could you just imagine like Andy coming in for like 2 quarters, bro? He just light that bitch up, just ran rifle, just sleep, at that shit.
Just think about the QB room as a total. You know what I'm saying? It's just a good, smart QB room with veteran experience. That's a plus.
It is. I gave it a B. I think it is a damn good move for them to have a backup on an extremely reasonable backup quarterback money contract. So speaking of quarterbacks, let's keep it in the same vicinity. And the Saints bringing back Jameis Winston. What'd you give that?
Jameis, it was the same grade as Dalton, like a 90.
Okay.
Because it just, I mean, look, we didn't talk about the flirtation with.
Oh no, it's on the list.
Oh, it's on the list. Like,
oh yeah, I put it on my list. So yes, it's on the list.
So it's like it's a 90. It's a good move. It's a good move because when you look at the quarterbacks available, it was probably one of the better moves you could make.
I think things got real dire. It was getting close to getting real dire for the Saints because Jameis was almost about to like catch a plane to Indy, bro.
Yeah, man.
Like catch a plane to Indy when Deshaun Watson, Mr. 22, made his choice to go to Cleveland. And if Jameis goes to Indy, bro, they probably don't let him leave. Would be my guess. And then it's like
you've been calling him Matt Ryan, man. Like Matt Ryan.
Let us treat you right, Matt. We'll take care of you. I gave it a B minus. The reason I gave it a B minus is I feel like it's B minus isn't a bad grade. I just felt like considering don't forget, like this is the Saints put themselves in this situation with the whole Deshaun Watson thing, whatever. So considering how that played out, getting Dalton, I think was like the best outcome that not Dalton, sorry, getting Jameis was the best outcome that they could have gotten. So I gave it a B minus. Let's stick with the quarterbacks and let's talk about the guy that the Saints went after. Just yesterday, Real Sports did a fucking story on it. It was an opening story. I watched it. I was absolutely fucking disgusted. I don't know how many F's I could give the Saints for going after him. And even, as excited I'll be honest when I say this, I'm more excited about being able to interact with people in our Discord, that meeting them in person, getting to like experience New Orleans with them in person. Like there's still a part of me that still has not forgotten the Saints going balls to the wall to try to get Deshaun Watson. Watching that Real Sports piece last night was just, like my stomach was just turning, man. Like it was just so fucking gross. And just hearing how the Cleveland Browns didn't give two shits. And let's be honest, bro, none of the teams that went after Deshaun Watson gave two shits about any of these allegations, including the Saints, Falcons, who else? Carolina, Cleveland. No one fucking cared. And so I gave that as many Fs as an organization can get.
Absolutely, me too. And it struck me that one of the women that was talking said the same thing that I said, man, on the podcast. Like, it's when she was talking about the Browns giving them that big guaranteed contract, it's like it's them rewarding for bad behavior. Like,
man,
you're just rewarding them. And oh my God, I'm just so thankful that that's not the Saints, because I can already see Saints Twitter just defending Deshaun, and they're like, these girls here, they ain't nothing but some thoughts out here, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can just already see Saints Twitter, bro.
Easy.
Like, I'm so happy I don't have to deal with that, man. And I know they flirted with him, but it's like, I'm just glad it didn't happen. I'm just glad, man.
Yeah. So them going after him is as many Fs as it can get. I put this, so there's a couple of more free agent things before we get into the draft. Can we talk about Daniel Sorensen, bro?
Oh, F. Why, man? I got more faith in that, Justin Evans, whatever his name is. I got more faith in him.
Easily. And if fucking Daniel Sorensen makes the team, I'm telling you right now, bro, there's gonna be some packages that puts him in there at the third safety. You can quote me right now. Quote me right now. If Daniel Sorensen makes the team, I'm not saying it's gonna be a lot of plays, but I mean, we're talking about Marcus May, bro. If Marcus May gets suspended 2 games, it's gonna be Honey Badger and Sorensen like they never left Kansas City, bro.
No, pull Tyrant.
Get me away from this motherfucker, please. Shit, went back home to escape this man. This man's still here. But yes, F. Even like as a depth, like you can't even sell it to me as like a good depth signing. You can't.
No.
I'm sorry, you can't. He's a terrible player. Yeah, just terrible signing. It makes no sense to me. I'm really hoping that the former second round pick, Justin Evans, that the Saints picked up, and I didn't put him on the list, but the risk reward of Justin Evans, like, it's huge, right? He was drafted only a couple of spots after Marcus Williams. Obviously wasn't good, but there were times in Tampa Bay that he flashed as a good young safety. And then injuries derailed his career. Like, he missed football for like 2 years. He was out of football because of injuries. I'm not going into the season expecting anything out of him, but I will say that for as little, I'm sure he probably signed for like a vet minimum or something very, very small like that. Like, even if he just made the team as a third safety that contributes here and there, like that's a plus. I'm not going to give it a grade, but that's a plus.
Absolutely.
So Traquan being back, I gave it a D, just straight D.
Yeah, I give it a 70. So that's like a C minus or a D.
Yeah, that's like right out of C. Like, yeah, C minus. Yeah, that's more C minus. I don't even know if Traquan makes the team, bro. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't know, man. He doesn't have to.
And obviously, all this ties all back into what we were talking earlier about Michael Thomas and him being back. But if he's back, like, you got Michael Thomas, you got Chris Olave, you got Jarvis Landry, and then whoever wins the number 4 wide receiver, if that's Deontay Hardy, Marquez Callaway, or Traquan Smith, like, you have that 5th receiver on the outside looking in. Like, the receiver battle in training camp is going to be interesting and fun to watch. Keeping up with free agent signings and things like that, Juwan Johnson and Big Creek being back. I combined them into one.
Yeah, I gave that. It's a B.
Okay, I gave it a C plus, so almost a B.
Solid. Solid. Just rotational players.
Yeah.
So they are.
Yeah, that's it. And I hope they don't go into the season expecting. If Juwan Johnson makes a leap, that's great. But I hope they don't go into the season expecting that.
No, please don't.
Please. Our favorite player that we've come to love, PJ Williams, being brought back.
Yeah.
Man, PJ Williams being brought back was one of my favorite moves in the offseason this team made, bro. I gave it a B.
Yeah, I gave it a 90. So
that's
hell yeah, man. Come on, man. Where else he gonna go?
I love PJ being back. Let's dive into the draft. Drafting Chris Olave.
Honey. 100.
Yeah, that's an A. You people could talk about what the Saints had to trade up to get. I don't care. Don't care. Don't even care. Sorry, don't care. A for me. What about Trevor Penny?
I gave that a 90, which is still good because I don't know, bro. The talent is there. So to me, that's the most important thing. The fact the talent is there, they just gotta fine tune it or whatever they need to do. That's most important to me. But it's a rookie, bro. You just don't know, bro. He could be complete garbage. And I'm not smart enough, and even everybody I listen to that are smart. Their opinions are, wildly all over the place. So
he's
man.
He's just such a polarizing player. That
he is, man.
It's there are some people that absolutely love him, and there are other people that absolutely can't stand him. I gave it a C plus. I kind of equated it to the DA side, the DA being head coach, because it was something that if he was there, I think I was it was expected that he was going to be a Saint, and now that he is, I think his career, obviously, playing talent, playing well is going to go into that, but Doug Marrone is going to go. He's so crucial to Trevor Penny's career. I really do believe that. And I that's why Doug Marrone being brought back was such I think a good move. Them drafting Alontae Taylor, I gave it a C plus. I gave it a C plus because I still am annoyed by them not addressing another offensive need. And I know they got Jarvis Landry a couple weeks after that, but he's older. He's not young. It could have been, I know the running backs had gone, but could have been a tight end, couldn't have been another wide receiver, although I think that would be pushing it. But I did raise it from where I probably would have had it after the draft because I think it was, I don't know what it was, rookie mini camp or something. And there was just a clip of him, right, working out.
Yeah.
And something I noticed in that little small clip, his size and how fluid his hips were, I was like, God damn. There's one thing I've given Jeff Ireland complete carte blanche since he's been on Saints. The man can scout fucking secondary, bro. That is his fucking wheelhouse. I don't care if it's corner, safety. That man can scout a good secondary player. So with the tools that Alontae Taylor has, paired with getting the coaching of a Chris Richard, like the sky's really the limit for him. And then you got, I think the reason why it's still a low grade is you still got to figure out where he's going to play, right? But I think the talent is obviously there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I gave it a B. I was questioning the pick when it happens, but after, looking at some of the, looking far, long and high to find some clips of him and just read more about him. Greg Casell today, he talked about him. He likes him a lot.
A lot, bro. A lot.
Big fan of him. So positive, his rookie minicamp, who knows, but there's some positive things written about him at, minicamp. He seems like he fits right into the whole culture of the secondary, just kind of hungry, a dog, just ready to get at it. So, that serves him well, man. Like, and like you said, man, that size, just look at him. Like I tweeted, like he just looks like a defensive back, like a good defensive back, man. Just even though he's not super big, but he's 6 foot, got the long arms, you know what I'm saying? He looks
bigger than he actually is.
It's crazy. Like you watch him, if you just watch him on tape, he looks like you think he's like a 6'3" cornerback.
Don't you? Like, it's wild, but like he's only 6 foot, which is crazy.
So he's just one of those guys that's just long and lengthy and get his hands on the ball, you know what I'm saying? Good instincts. So, and look, I trust, like, you could argue about what you trust the Saints with, but man, it's crazy that they've been good on secondary the last couple of years, but they've just been able to find these guys, bro. So
absolutely,
I'm just like, I'm leaning on them. I'm like, man, I'm gonna trust you on this one.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. It's become their wheelhouse since Dennis Allen's, since Jeff Allen has come to the team. Except when they fell asleep at the wheel in 2018, they were just throwing darts.
Oh my god.
Kareem Moore, dart throw. Completely forgot who else they got in that draft, but it's some of mine. But yeah, I gave a C plus. If you would have asked me after the draft, I probably would have given it like a D or an F. Mm-hmm. But I've risen it to a C plus. So let's wrap this up. Signings of bringing the Honey Badger back to Louisiana. I gave it a B plus. I know people will probably be like, oh, you're just down. And then for Jarvis Landry, I give the Jarvis Landry signing an A. So what'd you do for the two hometown boys?
I gave them both 100s. Tyrann Mathieu, from a football standpoint, we'll see. But I just think from a, some leadership.
Yes.
Just, vibe standpoint, just means so much, man. Just
yeah,
like,
you're right, 100%. And even CD tweeted about it. Recently, walking into the DB room. Alontae Taylor, who we were just talking about, tweeted today or yesterday, like just being surrounded by greatness. Like it's not a tangible thing, but that shit matters, man.
Ooh, it matters. It does, man. Because think about it, like you don't want to be slacking. You know what I'm saying? Like you're Alontae Taylor, you won't come in there and be like the best you could be. You got Tyrann Mathieu, I'm sure. Him as a young man looked up to. You got Marshawn Lattimore up there, which I'm sure you looked up to. Like these are dudes like you playing with that's checking on you, bro. Like, so that just means so much, man. Like it means a lot for them dudes to come in and really just play their best ball.
It does. So yeah, I only reason I gave the Matthew a little grade is just he's older and at times like kind of guesses on some plays and sometimes he gets wrong. And I'm just in terms of like a football aspect, I lowered it a little bit. But other than that, man, like I agree with everything 100% what you said in regards to the vibe, the fit, all of it. All that makes 100% sense. So I don't even know how this would be calculated. If there's a teacher out there, I know one of our guys in our Discord, Brock, is a teacher. The teacher out there can maybe correct us. But what would you just? I know it's a little hard. So, what is your overall grade for this offseason?
Man, I calculated it on the cell, and it was like a B minus.
Okay,
it's a B minus, which is it. Just kind of feels right. And look, if the Landry and Matthew signing didn't happen, it probably would have been a C minus.
Yeah.
But that last little stretch, like, man, this offseason was crazy, bro, because it was bad for a while. It was like, are they going to win 6 games? Like, it was bad, but they, down the stretch, man, they came down the home field and got it.
They did. And it just goes to show that the offseason is it's a long off season, right?
Oh,
It's a lot of moving parts to the off season. I don't know what the letter grade of my grades would be in terms of translating it to like an actual grade, but I think just eyeballing it, I think it's probably close to like a B minus, give or take, or maybe like a high C plus.
Yeah,
something around there. But OTAs are going on, and then NFL is going to shut down for a couple of months. Just completely just go away until training camp starts kicking back up soon. So we wanted to just recap the offseason that the Saints have had, go over everything, and just give our thoughts and things like that. We do hope, we have some hope, and probably going to have some exciting guests coming on the show to talk about the Saints and things like that. We're looking forward to it. So I understand. I know it's kind of like football slowing down. No one listens to a lot of football podcasts right now. People go on vacation. But if you're still tuning in, we appreciate you. We thank you. If you're listening and you still haven't become a Patreon member, please, if you can, right? I always lead with if you can, even if you can just do $1, we appreciate it. You immediately get access to our Discord. What I've started to do and become pretty good at is that as soon as I get the email that we get a new Patreon member, I immediately send you the Discord link in the Patreon app. So you have a link to get access to the Discord. And then don't forget that if you're a Patreon member, you get entered into the raffle for there's two games that we're going to be raffling off tickets for. It may be more, but right now the 2 games for sure is the 1 ticket to the Raiders game. That's the game on the day before Halloween. There's 2 tickets that's going to be raffled off, for the Seahawks game. And then if you're a Patreon member, you also get access to the VIP Patreon get together that we're doing that same weekend in New Orleans. Super fucking excited about it. I gotta condition myself because we drinking a lot that weekend, and the last time I probably have drunk the amount I'm going to drink was when me and you were in Vegas during the live stream. So I gotta prep myself. Also, other perks for being a Patreon member is that this season we're going to start it off in the preseason, try it out, and I'm pretty sure it'll go pretty well. But we're going to do Zoom get-togethers and live streams for preseason games, and then the goal is to also during actual regular season games where we do a full Zoom screen of all the VIP Patreons. We're all talking about the game, joking, having fun. And it gets all live streamed to YouTube. We did it with the draft in Vegas. It was great. We loved it. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to do for our Patreon members to make it, just not you're just giving money to a podcast. You're actually getting benefits out of it. So a lot of things on the horizon that we're doing here. So that we're going to wrap it up, close it out. We'll be back next week. With that, we're out.
Peace.
denim is in demand at Plato's Closet in West Ashley and North Charleston. Get cash on the spot for everything denim. Bring in your trendy and classic styles of gently used name brand denim. Get paid for your denim shorts, skirts, jackets, jeans, and more. We're looking for denim that is blue, black, or a bold color, and jeans in styles like mom jeans, bootcut, baggy, flared, and ripped. We want everything denim. Sell your denim for cash at Plato's Closet today. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.